Day 788 being Christopher Cruz. Well, I just got off a coaching call. It was rough. I can honestly say that was like one of the first coaching calls I've done where I was just like, all right, I don't know what to do anymore. Like, just I tried everything, and everything that I could think of trying, and it didn't work. 2 hours, and we ended up getting off the call, and so she could go outside and just get her energy right. And it was she was just so committed to being stuck, unhappy, angry, upset, overwhelmed. Like, her situation is very challenging, and I get that. And yeah, it's rough, really rough. But it's like, okay, well, so what are we gonna do about it? Like, we gotta get through it. Like, we gotta do something about it. So come on, let's make some shifts. Let's get past this. Like, and she was just so committed to staying where she's at, so committed to being the victim to her situation. And I get it. Like, it's challenging. Like, there's a lot that she's dealing with, and at some point you got to deal with it. Like, so I tried everything I could think of. I could feel the block. You know, we started to talk about God, and she's like, no, God's bullshit. I don't believe in God. And she's like, now you're telling me, like, I can't live into my purpose without God. Like, I didn't pay for that. And just being a pain in the ass. But I know that's not who she really is. Like, but just kind of just being difficult. And finally at the end, I was like, listen, I can't be fighting for this transformation harder than you are. Like, I'm just, like, it's just, we're wasting time right now. We're wasting our time. We're wasting our energy. Like, if you're more committed to being right than you are to transforming, like, I can't help you right now. Like, there's nothing we can do. So if we need to move this call to a different day so you can get in the right place, like, I'm fighting harder for your transformation than you are. And that will never work. And, like, it's just, man, people just get so stuck. And it's a lot easier to be a victim than it is to take responsibility. And it reminds me of where I was 4 weeks ago. Like, just so, it felt like it was impossible. How am I going to make any money? Like, I've tried everything, God. Like, I don't get it. Like, what else do you want me to do? Like, there's no other options. And I wanted to quit. I wanted to give up. I wanted to stop. I felt like I didn't know what else to do. And then I turned to God, and I got some answers. Araceli gave me some ideas. And now here I am. And so, you know, it's just like, I had to push through. But I also lean on God. She doesn't believe in God. So she relies on herself as her own strength, which is just not gonna do much. And so, yeah, it was just a really, felt like a very unproductive call, but I know that God is doing something with it. So when we got off the call, I just got on my knees and I prayed, and I'm like, God, just please break through to her. Please help her, and help me, God, because this was the first time in a coaching call where I really felt like I don't have the answers. Like I'm not going to be able to pull her out of this. It was just like maybe God is bringing me to this point in this call so I can turn to him more, even more than I already do in calls. Like, I don't know. There's some breakthrough in it. I know that. I don't know what it is, but it was just like, wow, that was, yeah. It's also like, I mean, just seeing the contrast actually now that this is just hitting me. Wow, it's freaking cold out here. Jeez. It's like gloomy and everything, and it is freezing. My hand is so cold holding this phone. Anyway, what just hit me right now is seeing the contrast of working with having a call with a believer versus a non-believer. It's a completely different conversation. Like, the things that I could say to her if she believed in God could pull her out of it. But because she doesn't, there's a limited vocabulary. There's a limited explanation. Like, she just is basically doesn't believe in a God, period. And we're all just here to exist, whatever, and that's it. And it's just like, there's just a limit. And I mean, my purpose is to lead people back to God. So I don't know how the heck I'm supposed to. I have no idea. God's going to have to come through hard on this one because I am at a loss. I'm at a total loss. But this really shows me the contrast. Just like when I work with believers, there's a whole access to a whole other realm of explanation and understanding that is just, if you aren't a believer, there's a huge disadvantage. I just realized that for the first time. Like, if you don't believe in God, and if you don't understand the Bible and the spiritual concepts and all of these things, like, you're at a massive disadvantage in life. Because then the only thing you have to turn to explain everything is science. Well, not everything is science. There's spirit involved as well. And so it's just like, wow. Because if she was a believer in the same situation, we would have a completely different conversation. We would have access to a completely different perspective, a completely different set of tools. And because she's not, I'm limited to what I can say. Like, that's crazy. Like, that's, I think, wow. Dang, that's eye-opening. That just shifted my whole energy. Like, I'm limited to how much I can serve someone if they're not a believer. Because the people that I can serve on the highest level are believers. Because God is giving me access to this wisdom and this knowledge that leads them closer to God, leads them back to God even more than they already are now. Wow, that's crazy. Dang. Yeah, I can't help someone as much if they're not a believer. Like the call, that I'm on with the guy before this call. One of the best calls I've ever been on, hands down. Just incredible call, because he's on fire for God. We speak a different language, even talking about purpose, talking about, the enemy. Sorry, I'm scratching my back. And the attack of the enemy and all these things and how purpose applies to it and what's going on in the world. Like, completely different conversation. Access to a whole new vocabulary, a new realm of understanding. Like, it's like I'm speaking a different language. And I don't speak non-believer language anymore. Wow, that's crazy. It's like, when like you're fluent in English and you speak a little bit of Spanish, that's what I feel like. I feel like I'm fluent in believer and I speak a little bit of non-believer. So I can't communicate with the non-believer as well as I can the believer, because my English is a lot better than my Spanish. My believer's a lot better than my non-believer. So it's just a different level of communication. And I feel like it's a godly level of communication. Like I feel like we are speaking from a place of divine truth. Wow, that's incredible. See, God is in everything. God is in everything. You just have to freaking look. You just have to look. Open your eyes and look for the light, and you will find it. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be open to you. Like, you just got to look for the light, right? This video is a perfect demonstration of that. I got on this video messed up. Like, what the F? My energy's all messed up. I'm just like, wow, that sucked. Like, just, that was just not fun. And I was walking right over there, right under that tree. And I said, but I know God is going to do something with this. I know God's doing something. I know there's a breakthrough in this. And then boom, gave it to me. Like, this is proof. And look at how my energy is shifted. Wow, that's incredible. That is incredible. Like, God just showed me how limited I am if I'm not talking to believers. Wow. And of course, he brings me someone who is, out of everyone I've talked to so far, more of a believer than anyone, more on fire for God than anyone that I've talked to so far over this last month. Some of my clients that I've been working with for like 4 or 5 months, like they're that, they're on fire for God, so I can have different conversations with them. But this guy, it was just like, he just got it. He just got it. Totally different energy. Wow. And it's literally like you speak a different language, and it feels like you understand reality on a deeper, more truthful level. It's like you can see behind the curtains. You can see behind the veil. You can see the truth behind all the deception. Wow. She's under deception right now, and she can't see it. And I can't explain it to her because she's not a believer. So she's not going to understand the deception and the strongholds and the enemy and the attacks and the lies and the deceit and the intention. She's not going to understand all that. She doesn't believe in it. She doesn't want to believe in it. Wow. That is incredible. Like, it's literally, I'm limited to what I can do with someone who doesn't believe that. And that reminds me of the story of Jesus when he was in Nazareth, in his hometown. The Bible said he couldn't perform any miracles. He healed like a few people, but that was it. He couldn't perform miracles because in his hometown they didn't believe in him. And so I feel like when I'm on a call with a non-believer, my ability is limited. Wow. Versus when I'm on the phone with a believer, my ability is heightened. Like, I got on the call this morning with my client, and I'm freaking laying in bed on my iPad, like exhausted. My neck hurts. I slept like crap. Like, just like, I can't do this. And then she's like, oh my gosh, I'm tired, and the enemy's attacking me. He does not want me on this call. And I'm like, trust me, he doesn't want me on this call either. And by the end of it, we're both like lit up and excited and just like transformed. And it woke her up, helped her understand something that would change her life forever. Like, it was great. It ended up being great. God was moving in that call. Wow. And I was half asleep. So exhausted. Wow. That is crazy. That is just, wow. Yeah, it's really clear that warriors of God can only be believers, because I can't bring that non-believer energy into that group. I need to protect that group. I need to honor what we stand for and what we believe in. And yeah, that's an exclusive, it's a different kind of person. So I'll give access to the app to my other clients so they can watch videos and stuff, but only believers will be in Warriors of God. Like, I was thinking about, letting some people in who maybe weren't, but are, coaching clients, and now it's like super clear. Definitely not. Like, that's a tribe that I need to protect and be very selective with who comes into that. So, wow. Thank you, God. Thank you for that realization. See, this is why you got to look for the light in everything. You've got to look for the light in everything. God is in all things if you just freaking look. Just look. Whatever you look for, you're going to find. If you look for the darkness, you're going to find it. If you look for the light, you're going to find it. Like, whatever you look for, you're going to find. Seek and you shall find. Like, that's it. Wow. That's crazy. My energy's back, thank God. And she just messaged me saying, we can move our call to next week or whatever, because I told her if she wants to jump back on a call after she takes a break, we can. And so she's like pondering life. So yeah, wow, really, really interesting. There's a limit to how much I can help people who aren't believers, just like there was a limit to how many blessings Jesus could do with people who weren't believers. It's like believing in God is like it's like the more you believe in God, the more he works in your life. I don't know if he's more able to work in your life, like if maybe the more you believe in God, the more he's able to work in your life, or maybe he's completely able to work in your life, but he won't work in your life if you don't believe. But it just feels like the more you believe, the more he shows up. Like, belief is such an important thing. Like, you listen to what Jesus says, and he talks so much about having faith. Faith. It's all about faith and believing, and faith and believing, and faith and believing. Like, that's such a key principle. Like, And I truly believe now that I've gone through over these last few months of just massive breakdowns, biggest breakdowns of my life, the most hopeless moments of my life, like going through that and seeing the breakthroughs on the other side of those has just really made me look at, okay, the breakdowns are breakthroughs. The breakdowns are breakthroughs. There's a massive breakthrough that God has that's going to pull me to higher heights than I was before I went into the breakdown. Like, it's like that expectancy of something good coming from it. Like, this call like sucked, and I'm like, dang, this is messed up. And then do the video and I'm messed up, but I have faith that this is happening for a reason. God is going to turn this curse into a blessing, or it's a lesson and God's just going to help me learn the lesson. And then boom, there it is. My ability to impact believers is significantly higher than my ability to impact non-believers. I need to focus on working with believers because those are the people that I can help the most. That's where my energy needs to go to. Wow. Just makes me go even more all in on Warriors of God and promoting that I don't just help anyone find their purpose. I help believers find their purpose so they can become warriors, and going all in on that because it's a different conversation, and learning for the first time that when I'm coaching believers, I'm speaking a different language that is more powerful, that has access to more truth. Like, we are speaking a holy language. It feels like we can remove the veil that the devil hides behind in life. We can see through the deception, and it's just so much more powerful. So I never knew that until this video. I never understood the power of that. Like, we speak a different language. We see through a different lens. We have different ears and eyes. Like, we experience life differently because we see life differently and we hear life differently. And I don't speak non-believer language anymore. I speak believer language. And that is why my life has transformed so much. That's why I'm so happy and fulfilled and inspired and excited. I'm actually truly transformed. It's like I used to be fluent in non-believer, and now I'm fluent in believer. And the more fluent and the more I speak believer, the less fluent I am in non-believer, and the more I forget how to speak it. Like if you don't use a language, you'll forget it. I used to almost be fluent in Spanish, and now barely anything. It's crazy. So she's a non-believer, whereas before, a year ago, I could coach her super powerfully because I would know what to say. But I don't speak that language anymore, so I don't know what to say. So at the call, I'm just like, I'm stuck. Like, I don't know what to do. And the crazy thing is I asked God 2 or 3 times. I said, God, please, like, come in, take over this call. I don't know what to do. And that was the first time that the answer never came. It's like, I mean, I'm sure God was there, but it felt like God didn't show up on that call. And maybe it's because at the beginning of the call, she says she thinks God's bullshit. And she thinks he's an asshole for putting her through all these things she's gone through if he's actually real, but she doesn't believe he's real. And she hates Christians. She hates Christianity. She wants it to be ended in the world and all these things. And it's like, well, maybe God didn't come through because there's not the space for God to come through. And he's not going to force himself through. So, wow. Dang. Wow. So I think with clients like that, I just need to focus on purpose, stick to purpose, and trust that God's going to work on them. Because my purpose is to lead people back to God, meaning they had God, then they lost God, now they're going back to God. Or they had God and they don't feel as powerfully, and so they need to go back to God. But it's like that word back is significant. If it was lead people to God, then that would mean non-believers, unbelievers. But if it's lead people back to God, that's like believers that need to be on fire for God. Wow. So many realizations. God is so good. Thank you, God. My energy is back. I was like screwed up when I started this call, just drained, like blown away, like, wow, I could not get through. First time, I think, on a coaching call ever. Wow. That's crazy. Thank you, God. So much to learn from this. So much to learn.